Hello, my name is Hailing. I'm presenting to you an export presentation on Australian startup superannuation and investment fund Spaceship to expand and export its services to the South Korean pension fund industry. The report analyses the company, Spaceship, the industry it operates in, the Australian superannuation and financial services industry, and in the host market, the Korean pension fund industry. It will assess socioeconomic and geopolitical risks relevant to the business and the proposed strategic entry plan, and use international business theories to help better understand the plan. Internal decisions that would otherwise be made by the business, including overall marketing strategy, logistics, cost analysis, and pricing strategy, are outside of the scope of the report and therefore won't be included. This report also makes the assumption that the COVID-19 pandemic has passed, international travel has resumed, and that the economic fallout from COVID-19 has not impacted either Australia or Korea to the point of bankruptcy. Spaceship, founded in 2016, has grown to manage some $420 million. In 2018, they launched their Spaceship Voyager application. Spaceship has some 90,000 customers, offering two different portfolios for both investing and superannuation, each with their own offerings and annualized rate of return. Users have the option to invest their super in international blue chips or tech companies, with standard investment options being in more typical safe bet companies or major companies and companies that follow the investment criteria of where the world is going. Well, why Korea then? You see, headlines like these are all too common. The Korean populace is rapidly aging, and headlines like these don't inspire confidence. They bring disappointment. Disappointment in a system that's meant to safeguard their future. For the last 5 years, private pension funds in Korea have averaged 1.88% returns. That's nearly 8 times lower than Spaceship's GrowthX superannuation portfolio. The South Korean government has recognized this and has even considered replicating elements of the Australian superannuation system. The largest fund in Korea, the National Pension Service, has had to raise their risk parameters just to meet a 5% target rate of return. With its aging population, under the current system, contributions from 5 individuals supports 1 retired person. However, in 50 years, 1 individual might have to support 1 person. This clearly isn't going to work, and the current system needs changing, with the government directing funds to invest in alternative assets and move reliance away from low-yield government bonds, something they otherwise have very little experience with. This presents a unique opportunity for Spaceship to capitalize on with its experience in foreign investments and alternative assets. Korea is extremely well technologically developed and is the largest banking hub in Asia, so its pension fund performance is rather unimpressive, seeing as the NPS is the 3rd largest pension fund in the world. There is a seriously concerning future for these funds. The future generations of Koreans could be expected to pay over 6 times more than what they currently contribute just to support the population. There are clearly holes in the strategy of these funds. They simply aren't capable of achieving the returns necessary to support the rapidly aging population. Therefore, there needs to be a change. Spaceship, with its impressive performance, coupled with the reputation of Australian financial services, has the ability to champion that change. So why should Spaceship expand? The Australian superannuation industry is extremely diluted, with some 612,000 businesses operating within, including the larger and more well-known Australian Super, which owns 6.4% of market share, AMP owning 4.3%, and Q Super owning 4.1%. All firms each with over $100 billion in assets under management. Spaceship has been identified to be in the 3rd stage of its business growth cycle, the success stage. This is where a company really begins to grow, and the next few years becomes pivotal for how long they can really stay relevant, before eventually, as all companies do, they mature. It is at this stage where it is most common to find firms expanding outside of their home market. Spaceship could try to stay and compete in the Australian market, and we've seen that with its growth in AUM, or the company could enter a completely new market that otherwise hasn't already been touched by Australian funds, one that is currently looking for the experience and strategy that Australian funds can provide. A market where the consumer is actively engaged with their pension. By law, Korean workers have to contribute half of their annual pension contributions. With no tariff barriers to entry and minimal non-tariff barriers, the question shouldn't be why expand, but why not? How would Spaceship enter the market? The report covers the market entry in more detail, but the proposed FDI strategy is that of a horizontal direct investment, by either establishing a company in Korea or purchasing a pre-established company. This is because Spaceship is a trust, and the Korean-Australian Free Trade Agreement, CAFTA, does not allow trust companies in funds management to export their services to South Korea. Therefore, Spaceship must establish a company within Korea's jurisdiction. The detailed analysis in the report recommends that Spaceship establish a limited liability company in Seoul and, as a fund, contract their services to manage Korean money to Spaceship Australia at a premium price to utilize transfer pricing. Due to the lower Korean corporate tax rates, Spaceship Korea would also license the Voyager app from Spaceship and repackage it in Korea to provide to the local target market of Korean millennials between 18 to 35 years old. The mobile app will be very beneficial as smartphone usage among Korean millennials is near 100%. Spaceship in the Korean market offers superior returns against local funds, bringing in the reputation that Australian financial service managers have in Asia, that of quality, reliability, and rule of law investments that generate sustainable returns. Spaceship Voyager is key to this FDI plan. The app is designed for millennials, targeting a consumer market that doesn't typically pay attention to its retirement plans, let alone savings, encouraging active participation and breaking down where your investment is going, giving you insight into your retirement savings that many super funds just can't be bothered to do. It is a market segment that is typically ignored due to their lower income status and perceived unprofitability. The app is expected to have near 100% market penetration, with 97.7% of Koreans aged 18 to 24 having smartphones. The core marketing focus to this group would be the Australian financial services reputation and the superior returns, as well as the fee-free investing platform. The report uses numerous academic theories to help us understand the processes and the reasoning behind the proposed plan. One of these theories is Dunning's OLI synthesis, which is commonly referred to as the eclectic paradigm. This simple model allows us to understand whether or not FDI will be possible by breaking down the business through three simple advantages: ownership, location, and internationalization. Using this model, in the report, it is identified that the business has a complete advantage in all three frameworks. Spaceship owns its investing strategy, its proprietary information. The service provided by the fund is unique. Funds management is highly fluid and mobile and doesn't require fixed resources. Therefore, production can recur anywhere. And the business can provide its services thanks to the CAFTA. Therefore, there is an internationalization advantage as it doesn't need to license out. The presence of all three advantages indicates that FDI will be beneficial to the business. Spaceship's expansion to Korea would mark the beginning of great things to come for the company. The beginning of the colossal change needed to shift the Korean pension fund industry and prepare it for the future. Because as Spaceship says, it's not just the future, it's your future. Thank you.